You're watching the Auction Network.
Hi, I'm White Christopher here in Los Angeles for Bonhams and Butterfields Entertainment Memorabilia Auction.
Many of the items we had today were related to Marilyn Monroe. We had many things that were part of her business archive.
Marilyn Monroe was remarkably photogenic and a great actress, and so anything she was involved in is interesting to collect.
I would absolutely have to agree that Marilyn Monroe is the biggest icon of the 20th century.
Marilyn Monroe, she was one of a kind. She was a lady, I believe, that had a heart and knew how to love everybody and knew how to show it.
Marilyn Monroe, sexy, a wonderful figure, which I would love to have.
I'm a huge fan of her personally, and I think her appeal for me and for many of my friends who like her, as well as people I don't know, I think is sadly the tragic element of her life. She was so beautiful and so talented, and just didn't make it. And you would think that she would have stuck around and had a nice long life, and she just really didn't make it beyond 36, and it's so sad to think of what her potential could have been.
Things that are connected with Marilyn Monroe have gotten very pricey.
The first thing we have is this phone book, and many of her phone books have been up for auction. She had dozens, and this is just one. And what's nice about this is that she writes throughout it. So this would have been a real working phone book that she and her business manager and her assistant would have used to call all of her colleagues.
The Monroe annotated phone book circa 1960, and we'll start the bid at $1,500.
Again, the pencil is Marilyn's hand. So throughout this one, anything in pencil is Marilyn.
Marilyn's phone book here, sold for $5,500 to the absentee bidder. Monroe annotated page of interview notes, 1960. Looks like a lot of writing on that one. Let's open this one at 18 again.
This is a document that a journalist sent to Marilyn Monroe, and he asked her some questions that was going to go in a printed interview, and then she writes her answers. All the penciled annotations are Marilyn's hand, and she just answers his questions. She notes that she just read Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. She writes about she doesn't think there's any difference between how men relate to women in the world, which is sort of funny. She actually writes, "Unfortunately, I have sufficient exposure in the male. If they were African, French, English, or American, I doubt there would be that much of a difference in their approach." So pretty funny. I'd say Marilyn, who was a little sick of getting hit on, it sounds like.
$32.50 now, say 35. Fair warning. Yours at $32.50. The Marilyn Monroe likely never before seen black and white photo.
Here is a never before seen image of her showing just how gorgeous she was. This is on the set of Niagara, one of her most famous films. We have seen pictures of her in this outfit from this exact day, but we haven't seen this particular shot.
$750 with the phones again. $800 the gentleman. Sold for $800. Your number, please.
Well, at the auction, the Marilyn Monroe items are very collectible and very pricey.
This is a dress that Marilyn Monroe owned herself, and it's very much in the style of little black dresses that she wore frequently.
This is the Marilyn Monroe cocktail dress from the 1950s. All right, you've seen it across the street and in your catalogs. A nice dress here. Let's open the bid at $6,000. $6,000 already absentee. $7,500. $8,000. 8 the bid, now go 85.
I just noticed it online as coming up for auction, and I drove down last night to participate in today's auction.
For the beautiful black dress, are we all out at 8,000, selling absentee? Fair warning, 85, thank you, I didn't see your bid. 9,500, 10,000.
I think unfortunately the auctioneer didn't catch my bid, and luckily at the last minute he said we're going to be going with the absentee bidder unless there are no other bids. So obviously I wasn't absentee, I was there in person, so I was able to get his attention and let him know that I had upped that bid. You're the leader, sir, at 11. Glad I didn't miss you. Say 12, anyone? Fair warning. Thank you at 11,000. I was pretty horrified at the instant that I realized that he was about to go with an absentee bidder. My heart kind of stopped there, but all is well in the end, yes.
Yeah, the Marilyn Monroe cocktail dress was, it wasn't so much a surprise. I knew that we'd have a lot of interest in it, but I'm thrilled that it sold. It was a beautiful dress. It was in great shape. And there were a few people who wanted that. That got competitive on the auction floor.
$3,500 though. $750. $4,000. $250. $4,500, $750.
I think what causes drama at an auction and for a particular lot like our Marilyn Monroe contract is the competitive bidding. You get 2 or 3 or 4 people bidding against each other.
$13,000. 14, sir. 14,000. 15,000. Still going. 16 with Mason.
It just becomes competitive and people get really interested in bringing home that particular lot, and sometimes they just don't stop. They keep going and going and going.
A lot of it is passion and a lot of it is dollars.
This is Marilyn Monroe's very first contract. Her name was still Norma Jean Doherty.
This is the Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean Doherty first contract from 20th Century Fox. Let's start the bid here at $5,000. 55. 55 the bid now. 6,000. 65. 7,000. 75 again. At 7,500 the bid. 8,000. 85. 9,000. 95. At 95 go 10. 10,000 Joe. 11,000. 12,000. 13,000. 14, sir. 14,000. 15,000. Still going. 16 with Mason. 17,000. The absentee. 18,000. In the lead now with the phones. 19,000. 20,000. The first phone. Say 22.5. 22.5 just ahead of you, Stephen. 25's here. Go 27,500. 27.5. 30,000 now. 30,000 now the leader. Go 32.5. 32.5 the gentleman. 32.5 now the leader with Mason again. We're at 32.5. Is there any advance to 35 on the aisle? Just ahead of you, sir. Shall we say 37.5? In either place. At 35,000 the ladies bid. Say 37.5. Yes or no? Are we out at 35? With you, ma'am. Any advance? 37.5 in time. At 37.5. Round us up to 40 if you wish. Gentleman's bid at 37,500. Any advance? Are we out? 40,000. Back on the aisle at 40,000 the bid. Signed contract say 42.5. Ladies bid now at 40,000. Any advance? Are we out at 40,000? Fair warning. Last chance. Thank you at 40,000. 3, 4, 1.
Signed contract went through the roof. I believe it went to $40,000 on an $8,000 estimate.
Well, actually, we had a very interesting auction today. The kind of material we were selling, it was from estates. It was priced right. The energy, it created tremendous amount of energy with all the buyers, and it was quite evident by the results of the auction.
Of course, we started strong with the Marilyn Monroe property. That was really fun. Great memorabilia. Huge success. Partly because it was unique property that was directly related to the stars.
Who knew an auction could be filled with so much glamour? I'm Hoyt Christopher for Bonhams and Butterfields Entertainment Memorabilia Auction. That's a wrap.
To register for future live auctions, go to auctionnetwork.com.